Well, what do we have here? This is the wife mobile, a 2011 Range Rover Sport Supercharged that my wife very strangely nicknamed Xena, as in the warrior princess. So today, I'm gonna show you how amazing this truck is and all the reasons why you should stay away. But I'm also gonna show you some of my favorite features, and for all the masochists out there like myself, I'm gonna show you what you need to look for if you're planning on buying one. This marvelous truck is finished in Siberian Silver paint with the interior wrapped in ivory leather and black stitching, a combination reserved for the Supercharged and Autobiography models only. Now, I know what you're thinking. Attach the word GT or Sport to anything and voila, charge more money for it with no real added performance. But this is not like the early days of the Hyundai Elantra GT. No, with this truck, you'll be wrong. This truck is powered by a 5-liter V8 with direct port injection and an Eaton supercharger producing 510 horsepower and 461 foot-pounds of torque at just 2,500 RPM. And all that gets sent to all 4 wheels via a CF transmission, taking this almost 6,000-pound truck to 60 in just 5.2 seconds. Now those are very respectable numbers, especially for 2009 when this revised version came out. Now there are other lesser trims for those who don't care about performance. The naturally aspirated engine in the HSE produces 375 horsepower and 375 foot-pounds of torque out of its 5-liter naturally aspirated Jaguar AJ V8 engine. The Range Rover Sport is a spin-off of the well-known full-size Range Rover. After the Range Rover Stormer concept was well received at the 2004 North American International Auto Show held in Detroit, Land Rover put this model into production with much success. Now, despite sharing the name with his big brother, the Range Rover, this truck actually borrowed the chassis from the Discovery, also known as the LR3. The L320 platform used on the Range Rover Sport in the US market was used from 2004 to 2013, with a facelift and new features happening in 2010, and then again in 2013 for the last model year. The revised Range Rover Sport feature a more aerodynamic front end, including new headlights, grille, and bumper. Also new are revised rear lights and rear bumper. Interior revisions are more significant with a new dash, steering wheel, door panels, seats, instrument, and shift gear. The new model has more leather and nearly 50% fewer dash buttons than the previous model. That's it. That's your history lesson. Now let's get into my favorite features. Then we'll take it for a drive, and at the end, I'm going to show you what to look for if you're planning on buying one. Now, starting the favorite features right in here in the interior. Now, these trucks have an amazing interior. The finishes are great, and looks, the sitting position, everything just, it's fantastic. Now, my first feature that I want to show you is very peculiar, very particular. It is actually a cooler that you have right here in the middle. You can activate this to keep your drinks cool, and you can fit up to 4 water bottles in here or soda cans, and it works very, very nicely. Sometimes I just keep ice cream in here. Now the next feature I want to show you are these lines that are inside the windshield. They're like hair lines that go from the top to the bottom of the windshield, and they're supposed to just like warm up your windshield and defrost stuff like snow and ice and all kinds of. They're crazy. I mean, literally, once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Now my next favorite feature is right in front of me, and it's not the steering wheel. Look, I want you to look at this because it's just amazing. For men, anyway. Now for the ladies, I mean, hey, it works for you too. This is what I call a ball cooler. There's a little vent right under here that is pointed straight to your testicles. Land Rover, you think of everything. And the last thing that I want to show you that is controlled from the interior is actually the air suspension. This truck has a feature that you can raise or lower the air suspension to give you clearance, or just to allow you to enter and exit the vehicle a lot faster. So now how you activate it, there's a little button here, and you can just click on that, raise it, or you can just click at the bottom one to lower it. Let me show you some of the rest of the features inside of this cabin. But for that, I need my gloves first. Land Rover says that every button in this car has been designed so that you can touch it while wearing gloves and operate everything without a problem. So I have to wear my gloves for this. So follow me along. Here you have your power button, engine start stop. That brings your accessories, power to all the accessories. Come in, follow me here. Look at this. This is your button for the audio here. Oh yeah, I can touch that very nicely. Actually, you know what? It is true. They've been able to really make a system. This is your air conditioning system. Look at this. Nice. You have your climate control here, all of your buttons for your heated seats, parking sensors, hazard lights, traction control. This is your driving programs. So in here you have your performance driving and different terrains. So off-road, snow, gravel, mud, etc. And yeah, I can activate all of these very nicely with my gloves. Parking brake, shifter. Look at that. Yes. I'm able to activate hill descent, which works great. You know what? It is true. I can actually get everything done with gloves. Nicely done, Range Rover. Nicely done. Now, the last feature I want to show you is in the engine compartment. We're going to open up the hood right here. Now, follow me to this. The Supercharged V8. Now, this engine has some great driving characteristics, and I do enjoy the programming that Range Rover did. It is a very torquey motor. You can barely feel the weight of this massive SUV driving around with this engine. And now, like I mentioned before, this is a bespoke engine specifically for the Supercharged models and the Autobiography. So it is nicely tuned, and I believe a lot more durable than the naturally aspirated V8. Now let's go back in, let's go for a drive. Now, driving the Range Rover Sport Supercharged. This is the revised model starting in 2010. So this is a 2011 Supercharged model. Man, these things are very comfortable, very refined, and they make you feel special, believe it or not. This has nothing to do with the badge, the name, or anything like that. All the creature comforts, all the finishes, how you touch everything, how everything feels, you know, the air suspension, just makes everything very smooth, very refined. It sets you up for a mindset of, I'm in something special. It's like putting on a suit and just walking out. Immediately you feel like you have to walk straighter, and you just feel better. You feel tight. You feel like you're wearing something that somebody put a lot of effort into creating. And the impressive thing for me is, yeah, so the vehicle is set up as an SUV, as an off-road vehicle. So, you know, the way visibility is over the dashboard, I can see everything. I can see the hood looking down, so that you know, you can see the obstacles near you and around you. But not just that, it's just that, yes, it is designed, it is a very capable off-road vehicle, but if you just want to drive it around town, it is very comfortable, very luxurious, quiet in here. It's just a great dual personality design in this car. And then especially this one being the supercharged version with a firmer suspension, more power, bigger brakes, it can also feel very sporty. Space in the Range Rover Sport is limited. I mean, Front seats, you feel comfortable. There's enough space. Back seats are a little bit tighter, and there's not a ton of cargo area. These were not designed to be very spacious and carry a lot of people. You can carry 4 people comfortably, 5 if you have to. So overall, great driving vehicle, great features, great value. I think as they become used cars, you just have to be very, very careful with which one you buy and the maintenance record for these vehicles. These are very, very costly vehicles to maintain. You have to budget $2,500 to $3,500 a year just for the maintenance. That is what's going to cost you, right? This is a luxury, very complex, full of features kind of vehicle. Lots of electronics, hydraulics systems that you have to maintain. And so if you are not ready for that, then do not buy the car. If you are a cautious Carlos or a nervous Nancy, do not get into one of these, because you are not going to be happy. You're going to have a bad time with one of these. And now you're really pumped and excited to get one of these. Now, I've made a checklist. It's the most comprehensive checklist on the internet, where I highlight exactly what to look for when buying any car. The link to that is included below. Keep in mind that also when you go check out one of these vehicles, it's never a bad idea to bring along a car-savvy friend to help you look for things. Once these vehicles hit 800, 100,000 miles or more, that's when you're going to experience most of the issues. I also recommend that if you have your heart set on one of these, that you get a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection done by a dealership or an experienced shop in Land Rovers. Now, that is going to be the best money you spend on the truck. Do not buy one of these without getting a PPI. Trust me on that. Right, so let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to point out is right here in the engine bay is the timing chain on these engines, especially the supercharged models. If you're buying one of these and it's over 80,000 miles, do not buy unless you know that the timing chain has been done. This is easily a $2,500 to $4,000 job, depending on where you go and the parts that you use. It is a very big job, very complicated. So make sure you look for that. If you hear a lot of ticking noise coming from the front of the engine and it is not the direct injection injectors, it's probably your timing chain. Have that looked at before you even get anywhere near this car. Now, you saw me bring the suspension down and back up on this air suspension equipped Range Rover. Now, here's something to consider. It's cool, it's functional, it's useful, but it's also very expensive. Each airbag can cost you $500 to $700 on the market today. Now, if you go to the dealer, it's a lot more money. It's a very expensive and complicated system full of electronics, hoses, air lines, air compressor. The air compressor alone can be $1,500 on the market today. If you go to the dealer, much, much more than that. There's airlines that run everywhere. There's sensors everywhere. So it is a very complicated system. And every time you replace anything, you have to reconfigure the system. If you have any issues with your air suspension, have that checked out, because it is easily a $4,000 or $5,000 job to do any repairs on it. The next item I want to talk about is the ARC hydraulic pump. Now, this vehicle is equipped with a directional stability control system with hydraulic sway bars. What happens is you have these bars that are hydraulically actuated to keep the vehicle stable. So as the vehicle leans one way, the computer tells the system to pump that one side sway bar to raise the vehicle a little bit, and then that helps keep the vehicle stabilized. Now, this is a very complicated system. It's got a hydraulic pump here, it's got a distribution block similar to your ABS system right under, and it's got the sway bars themselves that receive all that pressure to keep the vehicle balanced and stable. So it is very complicated, multiple components, and very expensive. The pump, you're looking at probably $400 to $1,700 just to get that pump replaced. The distribution block and the lines down there, you're looking at about $2,000 to $3,000 just to have that replaced. And the sway bars are probably like $1,700 to $2,000 in today's market just for the sway bars themselves. Now, labor, you're looking at a lot more money for that. This is a very complex, very expensive system, so make sure you have these things checked out for leaks, for malfunctions, anything like that before you even get near one of these cars. So again, huge deal to get a PPI in one of these cars. Now the next item I'm going to show you is not that expensive, but it is one that reoccurs quite often. It has happened to me with this truck, and it is the lower control arm bushings. Now they are hydraulic bushings in the lower control arms that just seem to go every 10,000 miles or so. I don't know. I've had these replaced about 3 times now, and what happens is this. Let me show you here the tire. As you can see on the tire here, the wear is normal, but in here is abnormal. So what happens is your camber or your toe, I don't know exactly which one, but the tire leans and starts to eat into the side of the tires and not wear evenly. Now the bushings, you're looking at about $200 to $300 per bushing plus labor to replace that. There are other options, polyurethane bushings that you can replace, but they do change the driving dynamics of the car, so you want to watch out for that. Again, not super expensive, but something to look for because it's costing your tires and labor and the bushings themselves. Now the next thing I want to talk about is brakes. As you can see, these massive 15-inch brakes are, as you can imagine, very costly to repair. Anywhere you go, you're looking at $600 to $800 for a brake job per axle for these things, depending on even which rotors they will use. If you go to the dealer, you're looking at $4,000 to $5,000 to do a brake job on all 4 corners. So definitely keep an eye on your brakes when buying one of these. By the way, these vents are functional. They're to cool the engine. The last thing I want to show you is tires. Now, these tires are pretty big. They're 275, 40, 20. So, especially in the front, these cars wear out your tires rather quickly. So you're going to be going through a lot of tires, especially if you're having some type of suspension problem like I am right now. I have to get those bushings replaced again. Now, fortunately, a lot more cars are coming out with these same tire sizes. So you have a lot of Dodges, Toyotas, Lexus, BMWs that have the same tire size. So it is becoming more commonly available, making that, more cost effective. But still, keep an eye on your tires because you can easily be spending $1,200 to $1,500 on a new set of tires going in.